Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. Now, here's Cleve Gaddis.
Got a question from a listener, Alex in East Point. Says, I need to hire a home inspector, but the last one we used was a nightmare. Listen to this, Alfie. Would have been better off inspecting the home myself.
Oh.
I don't think he liked his last home inspector, do you?
I guess not.
Any tips on finding a good home inspector? Yes, and we decided we would actually have Hank Spindler, who is president of Harmony Home Inspection Services, come in the studio. And, man, he's got a standing ovation. Looks like the elementary school kids are cheering for him. I mean, this is awesome. To talk to us about the difference between a good home inspection and a bad home inspection. Hank, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Cleve.
Welcome. We appreciate you being here. If somebody needs to reach Hank, you can go to harmonyinspection.com, HARMONY inspection.com, or you can call 770-235-5793, 770-235-5793. Hank, what's the difference in a good home inspector and a bad one?
I think it comes down to experience.
Ah.
Do you know your Georgia homes?
So if a home inspector, if you're hiring him to do their third home inspection, you might want to think twice.
That's right.
So, but if somebody wanted to know, how do I know if this guy or girl is going to do a home inspection that is above the industry standards, that has specific requirements, meaning that somebody has to meet a certain standard? How would they do that?
They might do their homework by asking some questions.
Yep.
That might include looking at a sample report.
Ooh. So if you wanted to know what he or she was going to look at, ask him to send you a copy of a sample report.
That's right.
Oh, I like that. Now, is there any licensing for home inspectors?
There is no licensing in Georgia.
So if Alfie decided tomorrow morning that he wanted to get in the home inspection business, he could say he's a home inspector, get his tool belt and his ladder, and go out and inspect homes?
He sure could.
Wow. Alfie, I don't think you'd be very good. Not tomorrow morning, anyway.
That'd be horrible.
Right. But, so it's interesting. So the barrier of entry is very, very low.
It is.
Talk to me about the Georgia Association of Home Inspectors. So if somebody wanted to know, hey, I've got a home inspector and they have to adhere to these standards, would finding somebody that's a member of the Georgia Georgia Association of Home Inspectors, would that ensure that they were going to do a better level, a more thorough level of inspection?
I would agree. The Georgia Association of Home Inspectors is one of the local. We have also an ASHI chapter.
Yes. Okay. That's the American Society of Home Inspectors?
Correct.
Okay.
GAHI is one of the organizations, one of the only organizations that requires for membership to be fully code certified.
And what does that mean, code certified? Does that mean that the inspector understands all of the codes today that are in place?
Correct.
Okay. Electrical, plumbing,
mechanical,
structural stuff, mechanical stuff. Okay. So you would understand probably as much, if not more, maybe than a builder would understand.
About the same requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Same requirements to get a contractor's license.
Correct.
Interesting. And in order to be a member of the Georgia Association of Home Inspectors, do you have to agree to do inspections that meet a certain threshold level? Meaning you have to do certain things in the inspection?
Yes, there's a standard of practice required.
Got it. And so what would be some things that a good home inspection would deal with that a less good home inspection would not deal with?
Well, a thorough inspector is really going to know what kind of defects are true defects versus cosmetic defects.
Okay.
For example, are you looking more at the wallpaper? We talked about wallpaper.
The outdated wallpaper,
Yeah.
right.
Are you looking
Which shouldn't be too much of a concern.
No.
Right?
Are you looking at things like nail pops,
Yep.
paint overspray,
Uh-huh.
minor details with trim?
Yep.
Or are you actually looking at things that might be a threat to life and safety? No.
So in the report, should an inspector divide things out into these are safety issues, these are very important, this is sort of long-term stuff? I mean, should an inspector divide stuff up like that so a buyer knows, hey, this is some stuff I need to be serious about? And should a home inspection also maybe include some ideas on what should be done to fix the problem, basically, or how does that work?
Definitely. Prioritization is one of those things where you do have your just general minor type defects,
Right.
but also if you do have something that is a higher priority that is a threat to life and safety, you do want to have that spelled out. You want to try to highlight that in the report.
Makes sense. If you just joined us, you're listening to the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show. Got Hank Spindler, president of Harmony Home Inspection Services, in the studio with us. Hank can be reached by calling harmonyinspection.com or by calling 770-235-5793. Again, harmonyinspection.com. Hank has been used by many of our agents, and they always sing his praises. There are many people out there, Hank, real estate agents, and I know it sounds terrible. Alfie, I know I sound like every once in a while I talk bad about real estate agents as an industry, and I don't really mean that, because there's a lot of good real estate agents out there, but there's a lot of agents that are just focused on getting that commission and getting it closed, and don't you do anything to stand in their way. And the truth is that buyers deserve to have the most complete inspection they can possibly have. And so I say to you, if you're listening and you're looking to buy a home, that you need to hire a home inspector that makes your real estate agent's jobs more difficult, not easier. Would you agree with that, Hank?
Absolutely.
And ultimately, you need an inspector that will point out everything that needs to be done. So I had an example a couple weeks ago. Inspector pointed out that you probably needed to treat the wood on the deck, which ultimately, the elements will take its toll on exposed wood. And the agent was just very upset that the home inspector would put that in the report. And my thought was, well, that agent doesn't care much about that buyer's interest, because it does need to be treated. It doesn't mean it needs to be addressed by the seller, but it does need to be treated and stained at some point in time. Do you try to put more on the list or less on the list?
I try to put more. I
Okay.
think anything you could do to help the client. You've got to kind of look to see what's the house going to look like, what kind of condition will it be in 2 to 5 years, and any information you could give them about preserving that asset to help them, save more money versus spending.
Preserve that asset.
Correct.
Don't have to tear the whole deck down and rebuild it.
That's right.
If the heating and air conditioning system is not installed exactly correctly, the ductwork or something like that, it doesn't mean it has to be fixed today, but a home buyer needs to know what it is. If you're listening today and you want to get a list of the 10 questions that I think you should ask a home inspector before hiring a home inspector, just go to gogaddis.com. That's GOGADDIS.com. You'll see a little link over there that says Cleve on the Radio. Just look at the very top of that page, and you'll see that you have the ability to download 10 questions to ask a home inspector. And these are the things that we think are important. Hank, give me your thoughts on these. Number one, will your inspection meet recognized standards? Good question.
Very good question.
Do you belong to a professional home inspector association?
Another good one.
How many years of experience do you have? How do you keep your expertise up to date? Because you got to do some continuing education, right?
Got to do it.
Once you're CABO certified, you don't stay certified every year, do you?
You don't.
You got to go back and redo it?
Every 3 years.
Do you focus on residential inspection? Somebody that inspects warehouse for a living probably wouldn't do a very good job on a house. Do you offer to do repairs or improvements? Because I think if the home inspector says yes to that, the answer is you should not hire them as an inspector, because they might recommend that they do some repairs for you. How long will the inspection take? If they say 1 hour on a typical home,
That's not good enough.
how long should it take?
Depends on the house, of course.
What's the average? 3 or 4 hours?
3 or 4 hours.
There you go. You got to do that. What's the cost? And sometimes if they say I can do it for $175, I'm gonna be honest with you. You need to think twice. I'd say the average cost $350 to $500 for a typical. Is that right?
It's about right.
What type of inspection report do you provide? You got to make sure the guys, they give you pictures and specific descriptions on what you need to do. Will I be able to attend the inspection, and do you carry errors and omissions insurance? We've had Hank Spindler of Harmony Home Inspection Services as a guest in our studio today. He can be reached at harmonyinspection.com or at 770-235-5793. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to answer a question for Rhonda in Chamblee, who needs to save for a down payment. We're going to tell her exactly how to do it and how much she needs. Stick with us, and we'll be right back.
This is Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST.